the Matabele ant. These powerful predators are twice the termite size. With the colony's hunger driving her, a Matabele scout searches for a target. The termites know that shadow and what it means. War is coming. Soon. They can do nothing as the scout marks the target and a path to their home. The scout returns to the main force to recruit a raiding party from among her sisters at an abandoned termite mound the Matabele have commandeered. With a jolt of pheromones, the chemical message travels among the warriors. It's a perfect time to attack, early in the day, before the heat rises. Matabele move out with the ominous, deliberate pace of a Roman legion. Today, their young will feast like kings, fattened on the spoils of war. Violence is the imperial tool, wielded in many ways. Sometimes to disrupt, sometimes to control. Those who fail to flee are doomed. Whatever army ants can catch, they consume. The attackers shred their prey so they can carry it back to feed the young. Army ants even overpower the land. They instinctively form bridges that carry the swarm over gaps and gullies. Across these living structures flows a steady stream of corpses. 30,000 a day. But army ants have enemies. Along the swarm's edges, bandits try to pick off stragglers. Paratrachina, or crazy ants, are the anarchists of the forest. Small, but highly organized, they are willing to do anything to grab a meal. Infiltrate, attack, abscond, whatever it takes. Instead of stingers, the crazy ant has spray jets that spew paralyzing venom. It lets the cruel little soldiers take down much larger opponents. army ants fear their crazy cousins for the chaos they unleash. The bigger insects have to fight for their lives against the anarchist throngs. At first, the crazy ant's venom stuns the army ants. Then the effects wear off, and the army ants regain their strength. They handily escape the tiny pirates and return to the business of the raid. Pollen and turning it into gold. But beneath this bright image lies a dark reality. The colony exists to serve the queen, who lays the eggs that become the workers, who maintain the hive, and the warriors who defend it. Below the queen ranks the colony's young, its future. She who must be served and those who must survive dominate the hive's existence. But if something didn't keep the hive's inhabitants in line, bee society would fall apart. Every female has it in her to lay eggs, to be a queen. But the colony can have only one ruler. So, it has a police force to ensure that fact. Enforcer bees patrol constantly, checking the cells, tracing the lineage of suspect eggs, making sure the guard bees stay on their fuzzy toes. The queen has her consorts, the warriors, to do her bidding. All of these live royally, thanks to a servile class. Polyergus, the slave raider ant, requires slaves because the species has grown so specialized it cannot care for itself. Massive mandibles, perfect for killing, have little use off the battlefield. Of the species Formica. They forage for food, raise the royal young, minister to the queen's every need and those of her workers. Born into bondage, they will die slaves. But this kingdom has woes. Its Formica slaves are dying of old age. It's time for the slave-raiding Polyergus to do what they do best: kill and plunder. In a chilling display of single-minded oppression, Polyergus raiders blow past the startled Formica to grab as many pupae as they can. It's not unusual for raiders to carry off 500 to 800 new slaves, decimating a colony. The raiders transport the kidnapped Formica brood back to their kingdom. When the stolen Formica hatch, they will believe the Polyergus nest is where they belong. Another generation of Formica will become slaves. At the countless larvae signal their relentless hunger by scratching at the walls of their cells. The grating drives the adult hornets into action. They have to feed the babies. And hornet babies live on flesh, ground into meatballs, and delivered by their caregivers. The larvae must feed constantly. So a single scout takes wing, ranging far afield to find fresh meat, to a horrifying end. In only hours, 20 or 30 hornets can wipe out a hive of 30,000 bees. Killer hornets have reduced the defenders to a carpet of the dying and the dead. Now, they can rob at their leisure, sometimes for days. This bee colony is doomed. The victims left to rot. The raiders gorge on honey, even licking it from carcasses. The unborn bees will be chewed into protein paste and fed to the hornet young. For every empire that seems invincible, the termites are watchful, lest their citadel fall. But kingdoms' fates often are decided at their borders. A remote outpost can be all that stands between survival and the empire's collapse. Outside the protective walls, foragers collect and transfer food back to the queen and her charges. They also watch for invaders. A Matabele scout appears. With their heads, termites send a subterranean alarm that ripples through the outpost. At the edge of the compound, a platoon of defenders occupies a fallen branch. These soldier termites are strong and agile, prepared to give the last full measure. The encounter begins by ones and by twos. A raider infiltrates. A sentry patrols. One death, and the battle is joined. The ants stream forward, attacking with no mercy. Using their mandibles, the termites attempt a defense. It's no use. Some seek shelter, but there's nowhere to hide. Even the formidable termite guards are no match for the raiders' venomous stings, which destroy the termite's nervous system. It's more feast than fight, as ants sting and slash the defenders to pieces. But the warriors who fall here do not die in vain. They stand against the Matabele tide, while their comrades in the galleries organize a last-ditch defense. At the gates, the fighting intensifies. It's a classic tactic. Against superior forces, seize and hold the narrow passage. Stand your ground. Come home with your shield, or on it. The termite soldiers never relent. Sacrificing themselves, they buy precious time for defenders to seal off the embattled bunker. The path to their home. The scout returns to the main force to recruit a raiding party from among her sisters at an abandoned termite mound the Matabele have commandeered. With a jolt of pheromones, the chemical message travels among the warriors. It's a perfect time to attack, early in the day, before the heat rises. Matabele move out with the ominous, deliberate pace of a Roman legion.